Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, now we're going to talk about chapter 17 of Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. And this is an interesting chapter, and it continues following of course, chapter 16, where Dr. Rumeld is trying to encourage us to use our thinking power and our brains to a great extent, in order to be good at strategy and be a good prognosticator of the company, and also really be able to develop strategies that work. One thing I found in my time as a consultant and working with companies on their strategies is that people want to talk. They want it. I wouldn't say you're quite like a therapist, but it's not that far off. People like to talk about their companies. They like to talk about what they're doing. They often don't have anyone within the company that they can speak to the same way they can speak to someone from outside. The CEO, for example, is under a lot of pressure. He has no peers. The people above him are the board. People below him are his team. There really is no one that he can open up to and talk to about everything. Hopefully you have a very nice team, a tight team where you can be open and direct with the people that work for you and work with you, but there's always the element of where you are in the company. You're managing the company. You have a lot of control over people's careers, their lives, etc. And you have to really have a great relationship with someone and have them proven over a long period of time before you can relax completely with them. And it almost never happens. So what happens is that when you're coming in from the outside, the consultant, they like talking. They like telling you what's going on. And then you carry that down to the second and third levels in the organization, and even more so. Many times they don't have anyone to talk to. They have problems that they cannot raise effectively. They may think, I need to have 2 more people, but they know that the budget doesn't allow that, so they don't even ask. But they do need 2 more people. And as a consultant, you can see, you do it numerically and say the production X, with this many people, if you added 2 more, it would be like this. Bottom line would turn out like this, and it's justifiable. So often, I would say that it's even almost like a cry for help, the way people will talk to you. They tell you everything. So it makes your job a lot easier. You'll be in some organizations where people are very tight-lipped, especially if you haven't won them over. Why haven't you won them over? They don't trust you, or you don't know what you're talking about, or maybe they're very defensive, or any number of things. But often it's those first 2 things. They don't trust you yet. They don't know who you are. You have to make sure you never repeat what people say to you in confidence to other people. Inside a company, outside a company, build your credibility. You lose your credibility, you can't get it back. Make sure you don't do that. Be a person that can be trusted, and then it will tell you things. The other is if you don't know what you're talking about. If I don't know, if you've been in a business, you've seen it many times. The people come in as consultants or to help or do something, and you really have no experience in what they're talking about. It's very clear very quickly to the people within the industry or whatever you're looking at, that you don't know what you're doing, or you might be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't know how letters of credit are open, you can't consult on letters of credit. If you don't know how the brokerage business works, you don't know the value of how many sales per square foot a big box store needs to do. If you don't know these things, then it becomes very quickly very apparent. So it's good to be a strategist in the area and a consultant in the area where you have expertise, but these are things you have to overcome in order to get people to talk to you. But once they do, they will tell you. Now then it's up to you to put things together and make the best sense. He gives a great example of Andrew Carnegie, who in those days was the richest man in America, and just a simple thing like making a list of the things that are important. Often those kind of insights a strategist can bring. You can just see things that the person's not doing. His mind is cluttered. He's got too many things to do. Just say something like, let's just write down the top 5 things and let's work on those. It's amazing how it works. Sometimes you'll be amazed at how the simplest advice can add real value to people that are so overwhelmed by the situation that they aren't effectively working. So when you go through all this, use your head on this is what he's encouraging, which I encourage you also do. You're in college, you're doing well, you want to be a thinker, you want to move up in your company. It all comes from using the brain that God gave you. So you need to know as much as you can in the time you have. Follow the kernel, as he puts it, the diagnosis, the guiding policy, the current coherent action. Do things. Sometimes it helps to be disruptive, and that's what he's talking about when he talks about the create, destroy. Take what this company or what your company holds for granted and hold as true, and attack it. Rip it apart. Will it withstand that kind of attack? Sometimes it does. Often you see big glaring holes in it they haven't perceived before. These are really, really good points to try to do to shake things up a bit. And then you put things together in your judgment. Judgment is a hard thing to describe, but basically it's making wise choices. Wise choices and being able to willing to make a choice. When you're in business, you have to make decisions. Every decision means other decisions you don't make. You decide one way, other ways don't get taken. So it's very important to be a decision maker, but also use good judgment. If you make decisions quickly, and I've seen a lot of managers think, I've got to be decisive. I have to make quick decisions and stick with them. Those are usually the worst kind of managers, other than the ones that don't make any decisions at all. But even if you make no decisions at all, other people will. If you make consistently quick and bad decisions, you're a terrible manager. So you need to make good decisions, and that comes from having good judgment based on really doing what we're talking about in this course. Getting your knowledge, testing that knowledge, being as creative as you possible with that knowledge, finding everything you can about the situation, and then testing it with a logical proofs type thing, and really being a true thinker on what you're trying to do. And also, of course, have the proper motivation. Do the best thing you can for your people and your company, and your judgment and your wisdom will start shining through. All right? Thank you very much.